Good evening. Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the thing show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find their way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One. And tonight, we're going to share something with you. Because sometimes when I look out over the so-called Black community, so-called African American community, it's like a cartoon, and we don't get what's happening, and we just keep repeating the same old over and over and over and over and over again. Tonight, I want to share a little clip with you guys. A lot of you guys have probably already seen it. But to show you what kind of people we're dealing with in the world today, what they're thinking about, how they see the world. Take a look at this. Check out the brother who's presenting it. One of the reasons why we lose, I know we don't look at it like that because we look at it from their point of view. They'll make their points. They'll make that a reality as you go through this video. I think there's a song out there called "They Not Like Us." They not. And this is some of the people who are in your phones. Their minds they don't think like they should think. And we're going to share that with you right now. Check out this brothers and sisters commentary. And we're going to come back and do a round table on how this type thinking, how this type being, how we don't even like to get information no more. Simple things that the collective could do where none of this stuff would matter. Check this out.
I need this message to go out to our vice president who's running for president. I have heard all over social media about, excuse me if I say anything wrong, immigrants getting loans, money. It was hard for me to believe. It was just extremely hard for me to believe. I've been in business such a long time. Back in 2019, I purchased my first food truck. It cost me over $25,000. I paid it cash money. I worked hard to pay for this truck. I'm now selling it because I'm doing other things, but I'm selling it. I had a guy come to look at purchasing my vehicle or my food truck. And he explained to me he's an illegal immigrant.
I can already see where this is about to go. She looked like she about to cry. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. You ain't got to worry about nobody giving you no handout for that. It's going to be the best product that you buy. You know what I'm saying? And we definitely going to address this. And make sure y'all tap into after hours tonight. But I could already see where this is going to go when she's already addressing.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought about your blood flow? Redwood uses just a few simple, completely natural ingredients to increase your body's nitric oxide production. This in turn lowers your blood pressure and increases the rate of blood flow in your body. This
as a letter to the vice president who wants to be president of the United States of America. Now that we got out of the honeymoon phase, we can get to the brass tacks of things because we want to see what real Americans are really experiencing in real life. And she said, listen, I didn't know or I didn't believe that it was real, but I'm going to tell you, I visited New York. I know what's happening out here in these streets. I've been covering this for the last 2 years plus. I've seen what Eric Adams did just today. Eric Adams said that they've spent billions, and I mean up to over $2 billion a year on the migrant crisis. So when you see them walking around with these debit and these EBT cards and they got free housing and school and they teaching them English and all of this stuff, know that came from your tax dollars. And it's also an insult to you as a working American, of what you really tried to do and how you've been trying to build the American dream. Let's hear the rest of what she got to say.
He has no credit. He has no money in the bank. But he showed me his paperwork that he will receive funds to purchase my food truck. I'm thankful that he's buying it, but I'm hurt that I work so hard to pay cash for my food truck.
Absolutely.
I have good credit. Can't even get a business loan because of the color of my skin. I have veterans in my family. I'm a veteran. I've been self-employed for so long. But somebody, please tell me, how do I work so hard to have somebody who comes to this country, not long, no credit, and he shows me paperwork where they'll be funding him money to buy my food truck. And when I talked to the bank, they told me usually they have to go straight to a dealership because I'm a private sale. But for special circumstances, they're going to, they allow it.
If you've ever built anything, and I know for a lot of people, this is hard to believe or it doesn't resonate with you, but this resonates with me because when you put your own money up and you had to get it out the mud and you built something from scratch, you built the business from scratch, you built the brick and mortar business from scratch, you built the food truck from scratch, you built your business out of your home, you know the dedication of blood, sweat, and tears, the lack of sleep, and all of the effort and hard work that goes into it in order to try to achieve the American dream. Whether you failed or you won, you have an emotional connection to the grind and the hustle and the dedication to that business. And so the business means more than what you make from it, or the business means more of what you sell the items in it for is meaningful to you. And so this election and what's happening right now, and the reason that she's crying is more than just the fact that, oh man, this is what's happening or it's unfair. It's an emotional connection to your dedication and your hard work of what it took to build this thing. It's almost like building up a house and paying it off only to see somebody come and just tear it down in 5 seconds. It's going to make you cry. It's going to make you shed a tear.
But I need my president to tell me why I worked so hard all these years, all these decades. Couldn't get a business loan, but I bust my ass to get the money to create my business. And we got immigrants coming here. And they're getting money. Money. We're doing nothing. But
y'all literally should be pissed off. Even people that have disagreed with me traditionally on issues that we still have a disagreement about. If you are a blackity black and you are a person that has argued with me in favor of reparations, even though I say that I don't believe in it, you should be offended. If you are a person that has worked your whole life and poured into the tax code, you should be offended. If you black, you should be offended. If you white, you should be offended. If you a person that is an American, if you're a person that migrated over here legally and went through the process and all of the long-term stuff that you had to deal with in order to become a citizen and then be able to do what you got to do on a regular basis and you pay taxes, you should be offended. Absolutely. If you have one of these leaders, a D.L. Hughley, a Charlemagne, a Ricky Smiley, sitting here and telling you that you just need to vote just based off of identity politics, you should be offended. If you heard that Ricky Smiley thing where he said people need to block you if you're not voting for Kamala Harris because you're not on code, you should get offended. Because they're not taking into consideration what people really going through in real life. And they so disconnected from what's real out in these streets that they won't even take into consideration what you think. They don't give a fuck about you. They only care about whether or not it aligns with their boule agenda of whether or not you are part of the divine nine. It's offensive. It's disrespectful to the millions of black people and Americans every single day that grind and hustle and push and focus on being the best version of themselves so that they can ultimately achieve the American dream. And they may fall short, but at least they tried, only to be disrespected by your administration. This ain't even people that focused on beating the system. These is people that walked in because the system said, beat me. That's disrespectful. It's absolutely disrespectful to you, the person that worked every single day, that grind and hustle. And then you get your paycheck and you look at your paycheck and you realize that they took an egregious amount of taxes only to give it to other people so that they can take over your stuff, buy your stuff, and then hopefully benefit as a result of it and run this country and become the new voter bloc. They children are going to be the ones that inherit this earth, that inherit this country, that inherit the United States of America. Don't you feel disrespected? You don't resonate with this woman. You don't see her face right now. You can't tell that this woman put her blood, sweat, and tears into everything that she believed in, and they gonna make special circumstances. Everything that these people is doing is coming over here is a special circumstance in order for them to be able to. You're not offended by looking at the Taliban over there with billions and tens of billions of dollars. You know, I was doing a live stream today, and there was people in my chat say, "Yo, Anton, I was one of the people that worked on, or I was stationed over there, and they just parading around with the American military stuff, and the Taliban is celebrating 3 years of being back in power as soon as Joe Biden got back into office, August 2021. August 2021, they took back power immediately, and then they took all of the equipment from the Americans that left it over there. And so when Trump say that, it don't resonate. But when these real Americans say it, hopefully you start paying attention. Make sure y'all tap into the page.
So we have a round table tonight. Now, everybody just saw what we just played. You know, now I know the narrative is, oh, this poor lady. Oh, not the reality at all. So we're going to have a round table, and the people on the panel, they're going to give you their thoughts about what they just saw. Now, these are people that I know that they break their neck to make sure everybody's taken care of. Everyone. So we want to share their thoughts with you, and hopefully you're going to get something out of it. First, we want to start off with Miss Ackermack herself, Miss Lisa Cypress. What's going on, Lisa? You there? Unmic. Everybody cut your mics on. So I guess we'll start first with Mr. John Blocker. Mr. Blocker.
Hello to everyone.
What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. You know, I'm always busy.
Always. Brother, what did you think about the clip that we just showed?
It's part of the ugly reality that we need to realize. The only reason people are getting what they're getting coming here is because they're not pretending to be somebody else. Because we pretend to be other people and other things. This is why we're treated the way we are, and we can't seem to understand that that plays a part in it. We think that that has nothing to do with what our fake beliefs are. But here, this is your land. You need to claim your land. You are indigenous to this land. Stop claiming to be from somewhere else. This your land, you're going to have to fight for it. Because they're giving it away. And you guys are helping them because you're not doing anything to stop it. They come here, you guys mate with them, you do everything with them that they want you to do, no matter what it is. You accept it. Stop accepting shit. Stop agreeing to shit, and you'll have some things.
So let me get this straight. So you didn't have any. What did you think about the woman said you weren't to her plight? You wasn't saddened by her plight or felt sorry for her or anything? Because that's what I get from a lot of people. They'll start crying, you know.
Yeah, no. See, Kerry, this is the thing with our people. We have poured tons of money into our own land, and we are the dumbest people on this land because we're paying for what's already ours. We pay through our labor, our false beliefs, the so-called trending situations we're in, the so-called acceptance that we do. This woman has worked her whole life for something that she was programmed to accept, just like everybody else here. And when she realized that everything she was working for was in vain, yeah, it is hurtful when you put everything you have into something, and then someone just come over and just take it.
Cool, thanks, man. Miss Infused Virgo, your thoughts on it?
Well, it's because of our acquiescence and silence and lack of knowledge, and as well as what Mr. Blocker said in regards to us claiming that who we are not, that it ended up this way. I mean, because if you go back and you actually were to read their constitution, it states that everybody is included except for the Indian not taxed. But somehow we became the Indian taxed, and we don't realize that the rug was pulled from underneath our feet. So now they're coming and taking what belongs to you. And we're also not claiming that $46 billion that they have set aside for the American Indian. They're giving it to the migrants and the immigrants now. So this is our fault. This is strictly our fault, and we shouldn't be crying about it. We should be ashamed.
So what did you think about her saying, begging another immigrant to come over and save her? What did you get from that?
I felt it was embarrassing, to be honest, because I was listening to what she said, and she said that she was a veteran. And I'm like, okay, you're a veteran. So in this realm, veterans have precedence over everybody else when it comes to business, house loans, and things like that. So I was like, that doesn't make sense. And then her crying and having a conniption fit in the car. What is that going to do besides get her laughed at? Kamala Harris don't give two fucks about her. Excuse my language, but she don't care. She don't care whether this lady crying. She don't care about none of that. I mean, if you paid attention to when she did her debate in Atlanta, she had Megan Thee Stallion dancing. And so she's making a buffoon out of the so-called black woman, and they're just co-signing with it. So it was embarrassing to me, and I don't feel sorry for her. I'm sorry. I don't have any empathy for her. I feel bad that she's losing her stuff and stuff like that. But because of her lack of knowledge and because of her miseducation, that's why she's where she's at now.
Come on, you got to have some empathy.
No, I don't have no empathy. We put ourselves in this situation. We got to get ourselves out.
So are you saying, basically what you're saying is this is like the Black Panther Feed the Babies program or whatever. These things could have been taken up. These things could have been done during that time.
Yeah.
If our heads were on the shoulders right.
Well, the Black Panther Feed the Baby program became the government program known as WIC now.
Well, that's what I mean. You create something and then it always get taken away.
Yeah, because you give it away.
Well, okay, but I'm saying, aren't these problems that we keep running into over and over and over and over again because we won't change the way we think and look at things?
Yes.
So okay. Well, we're going to talk to you later,
Okay.
Mr. J. Smith. What do you think? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I'll say something that John Blocker said, and he's right. The commercial system, monetary system itself, You know, we're fully engaged in that. It's all fraud. And what he says is correct. Paying for things that are actually free but provided by the earth is absolute insanity. It's lunacy, really is. And you know what has happened before is happening again. And in terms of what you're saying about being someone else that you're not, when you're from your origins is from another land, there are people that still hold on to that, even with all the information being dispensed from this source and others about us being attached to this landmass. The people holding the hard line with that crap about originating from Africa and who knows where else. I even asked the question in one of the clubhouse rooms. I says, "What's the sense of claiming that while you're here on the land of America, even if it was true?" You know, it's absolutely, you know, insane to think that very ones that like like to think that everybody's a foreigner on these lands, they've always called on foreigners to come over here, you know, as reinforcements. That's all they're doing. A lot of those males that are coming across that border, I don't want to say that they're just migrants. They're actually an invasion force because they're of military age. Maybe some of the audience has heard that already. That's what's coming across that border. And they're coming here to do some damage. Like that brother you had on one show out of LA, that African that was out in the street begging. When he asked him why you're out here begging, then he told him what they did to him when he decided not to run weapons to deliver it to another location. When he refused, they said, you do what we tell you to do or else. And then they cut him off. They cut his card off. They cut his cell phone off, threw him out of the place. That's why he's out there begging, because he won't do the very thing. I don't even know how long this African will last, you know, after something like that. But they wanted him to do something that is unthinkable. And it's time for a lot of us to wake up and smell the coffee. That's all I could say about that.
Jay Smith, thank you very much. Safari Akamak, what's your take on the video that was just shown?
I don't know. Seemed a little weird. And my thing is, if you knew he was illegal, you took his money, you didn't charge him double, and you didn't call ICE. So I don't. There's a lot wrong. There are people that are getting paid to be here and make shit unbearable, especially in New York. So yeah, that's true. Like me personally, I don't like any of these illegals because one, whatever. Because mind you, it's several different countries that are flying to the border of Mexico to come through the border and expedite them becoming a citizen, depending on how they stage it. People from Hindustan, just different areas that are using that border to come through, and nobody told any of these people, hey, you're coming to a continent that is Negro based specifically. And I remember talking to one of my old coworkers some years back about uh, America presenting as, you know, a black woman's physically, but American Indian women specifically. And if they knew that, a lot of people wouldn't come here. They would not be so quick to take a plane over here, go to the border over here. And some of them feel like, you know, oh, well, they're having me here because they need me. No, they're leveraging you. When they don't need you, they can just get you, they can take you out when they feel like it. Because at their grace is how you got in. And with their grace, you will go. But even with that fictitious and questionable government, you know, they're at the whims of the Indian. But the Indian's too busy doing nigga shit. So they're not understanding their place, and everybody else is like, oh well, America's the home of the free. Woo woo. No, it's not. It's the home of the free, but it's also the home of, we need to leverage the nigga the best way they can in every way possible. And if you think about majority of the history and other things, they leverage us every way in which way they can imagine. So to me, the video is to trigger a response. It is a part of how the migrants are moving and how they're getting paid and how much tax dollars are being taken from the American people. Um, that is a lot. They're taking a lot, not just for the migrants, also for, Ukraine and all this other bullshit. So yeah, like they're doing a lot of things that I don't agree with at all. I feel like America has been in a toxic relationship with multiple countries and it needs a break.
Thank you, C. Faring. Miss Cypress, your thoughts on that indigenous woman calling on Kamala Harris to come save her? I didn't get it. Can you give us your take on it? Unmic yourself. Well, since she's not here, I'm going to share mine with you.
Yeah, she's trying to talk, but I think she's muted.
She has to mute her mic.
Yeah.
Well, while we wait for Lisa to get in, let me just share this thought with you guys and pay attention. These are the kind of pieces, this is called propaganda to me. It's a whole propaganda. These illegal immigrants coming over here, and you're going to sell your truck to help him take over your shit. Make it make sense. And this is the kind of stuff that is played to play on our emotions. You calling Kamala Harris? That kind of shit. This is what we do. And the reason we're in this situation is why we're having this conversation tonight. This I got this attitude. I got this. I got my own business. I can do whatever I want. You can't. And acting with that whole attitude, we're going to get into like a lot of these young folks and stuff coming into this indigenous information. You don't get it from the people who's putting it out. You get it, add some Hebrew, Israelite, Christian, Muslim shit to it and screw it up for everybody. Because of that attitude, I got this. You don't tell me what to do. I can do what I want to do. That chick on that video, to me, you can tell she got that attitude because everybody has this fake American dream. How you going to have a dream and somebody else is defining what the dream is? Anybody explain that? You having a dream that somebody else wrote and you put your emotions behind it. And this is how the American Negro thinks. African American, Black person thinks. These people, you are their dream. They want your life, but you want to intergroup and be them. That's why it's like it is now, isn't it? So, Mr. Blocker.
Yes, sir.
What is this attitude? Like, I got this. You don't tell me to do anything. I got it. I know what I'm doing. Why is that so prevalent? And why is it so hard to break?
It's hard to break because we've been fed and treated like mushrooms. You know how mushrooms grow? They're kept in dark and they feed them bullshit. We have gotten used to so much bullshit from our oppressors and their gatekeepers that we've gotten comfortable with living in a state of chaos all the time. Where there's no chaos, they can't function. So when we don't have chaos in our lives, we create some so that we can feel good about ourselves. It's a vicious cycle. It's been passed down from generation to generation. And this all took place with just one generation accepting that bullshit. And after that, it became perpetual. Each generation carried on it, passed the torch down until we have the situations we have now. When we were coming up, there was respect. It took a village to raise a family. Today, if your neighbor were to say something to your child about doing something wrong, you will take out your gun and kill him. This generation has no respect for anyone, not even themselves. Our women carry themselves like harlots. Our men dress like little girls. So we have no respect for each other. We've lost that. All that moral compass we once had is already gone. It's been bought and paid for with bullshit. We continue to accept that.
Do you see that situation? Not right now. Do you see that situation ever changing, or do you see a catastrophe coming behind that?
Well, right now there's a catastrophe coming, Kerry, and it saddens me because all the things I fought for all my life, I see wasting away because what we have now is not only a failure to communicate, but a willingness to communicate. With all this information out there, we still refuse to accept the true facts concerning who we are, whose land this is, and what things are real and what things are not. But in order for us to accept the things that are real, we must first get rid of the things that are not real. Everything you've been taught is not real, so I can make it clear for you. Everything you've been taught and think you know, get rid of that because that's not real.
So what would you have, since they're getting away from it, what would you have them replace it with?
With some true knowledge. Do your own research. Stop accepting things. Stop agreeing to things. Stop building platforms to things that you know does not exist. You're not Black. You're not an African American. Yet you build platforms to these things. And therefore you have no authority here by doing that. But you keep wanting justice when you keep creating injustice. You can't have it both ways. You're either going to do the right thing or you're going to continue that foolishness like you've been doing. If you want to make things right here, you're going to have to separate yourself from your oppressors. You're going to have to accept self-government, which you have a right to do, but you don't want to do that. You want to stay under somebody's foot. You want to run down there and vote. For what? This is your land. Why in the world are you voting? Make it make sense. And you wonder why you don't have anything. Because you keep doing the insane things that keep you from getting it. Again, you need to stop signing shit, agreeing to shit, and voting for shit. Your vote don't count. They just giving you something to keep your mouth shut. It's like y'all like babies. You know how you get when a baby go to holler and you stick a pacifier in their mouth just to keep it quiet? Well, a vote is just like a pacifier. It's something to keep you quiet.
John, thanks a lot for that commentary. Infused Virgo, I got this.
Okay, so
What's that attitude about?
you know what is a displaced attitude? I don't even think that sometimes people realize that they're protruding off an attitude because it's so natural to be on the defense all the time. Everybody that has a lack of knowledge tends to be in a survival mode, and their idea is that they have to beat the neighbor. It's like a crab in a barrel mentality. And it's elevated to the point now that there was a little bit of water in the bucket. Now that water is boiling and all the crabs are trying to outdo each other to get out the bucket, and there's no exit. They're all gonna boil. And with that, it's just like, if you guys had, if people, if people had to sit back and they were to read, I'm gonna bring this book up because I'm always talking about this book to you, Carrie, The Miseducation of the Negro. You would understand why we are at where we're at today. And not only off of what Mr. Blocker said, but Carter Woodson, even though he used the African or the colored analogy in the book, he says that there were people who were here, and there were people who were in Africa. They are not the same. He specifies it at the end of the book, but nonetheless, he's telling you that basically we were a product of the biggest switch and bait scheme ever. And he goes into detail in regards to education, in regards to the politics, because he says we don't know how to be a part of politics because we never come to the table with anything. Asian people go, if they're going to be in the political scene of America, they come to the table asking for something to support their supposed candidate. We just follow who they tell us to, and we don't come to the table with anything. We have no representation in regards to this political system they've created. Not that we need it because this is our land, but still on the same token, we as a collective just give away our vote. And when they're talking and they're using words like minority, they're not talking about the African American. They're talking about women. They're talking about gay men, gay women, Asians, Mexicans. They're not talking about you, but you have been programmed to think that you're a minority and you're not. And that's why those supposed bills they create to help minorities don't go to come to our community ever. They go to the Asian community, they go to the Iranian community, they go to the Russian community, because they're all considered minorities. And so they have a lot of wordplay and a lot of spell casting in the things that they are saying. So that attitude that you're speaking of, I think, comes from lack of education and lack of self. And so people are always on the defense because of the fact is that their body knows that something's not right, but they're not paying attention. And they also know something's not right because we're impoverished. I mean, look at how these inner cities look. So you know that something's wrong. But because of ignorance and once again acquiescence, we just accept it and just keep on moving and creating fads for everybody and making money for everybody else and not doing anything for our own communities.
Jay Smith, I got this. I got this. Well, I guess he doesn't have it. The attitudes that we're experiencing with the youth now, and this is you there, Jay Smith?
Yeah, I kicked myself out by mistake.
I got this, man. How long is this attitude gonna prevail?
You asked me that question?
Yes.
Oh, no. Actually, so on an individual by individual basis, you have to change. You have to be willing to do the changes. You have to change yourself, change your attitude. You have to work on yourself.
Okay, so let's put this in an analogy of a football game. Fourth quarter, 2 minutes left. Do you see that change taking place?
Two minutes left. Change takes time.
How much time would you give it in this situation?
It varies from person to person. You know. Oh, there's a point I want to make a reference to what John Blocker said, and I think in Berger when she said education. I'm going to give that same old testimony you heard me say before, and I think it comes into play here. When my father left me in that public school system when I was a little boy, the first impression I got was, "What are you doing? Who are these people? Who are these children?" I never forgot that. You know,
Right.
if it is, you're put into the hands of someone you don't know, people you don't know, and you don't know what it is that they're feeding you. Now you get used to that kind of stuff, but as you get, into the classroom um, areas, but see, you spend more time school than you do with your parents. That kind of activity is what really, really drives in whatever it is that they want to put into you. In terms of what John Block was saying, it's garbage. The school system, the public school system, really did the damage because they got to the young minds early. So just to address that part, and then to address the other part, which I mentioned maybe in one of your broadcasts, but comes into play here. That television set, a special forces individual who specializes in psychological warfare, he actually said that according to the FCC, that television is nothing more than an entertainment device, which means anything coming off of it doesn't have to be true or real, which defaults to anyone of any profession broadcasting from it. I don't care if it's a doctor, politician, lawyer, law enforcement, um, military, scientist, engineer, whoever. They don't have to tell the truth coming off that device. So the mass media, and you could include other devices that are like onto it, the mainstream mass media is nothing more than just absolute program. They don't call them television programs for nothing. It's really actually doing that. You're being programmed. You're being programmed in such a way, not only it steers you away from the truth, but it basically puts you into a position to serve others that have no actual feelings towards you and don't care how you survive. You're in survival mode all the time. That's not living. You're not supposed to be in survival mode all the time. So
Right.
this kind of world it is.
Right. 51 won't stop.
So hello, finally I got in there.
I got this.
I got this. Well, first of all, I don't believe that woman. Her acting was atrocious. She did not seem real to me. My, grandchildren can fake a cry better than that with real tears. I didn't see no tears. When you cry and there ain't no tears, I didn't see tears. She acted like she was crying. I ain't see no tears. I think it was just a bad acting job. But whatever. And anybody who would even bring themselves to tears because you don't it was a big old, it's a big campaign. Niggas don't trust Kamala campaign, and everybody's got to separate you dum dums so that you can't get your act together because you're so busy thinking whether you're team Kamala or team Trump. You ain't thinking about your life and what they doing to it. So no, I don't believe that. I don't even believe any of that. I don't believe she was saying what she said was a script. I don't believe that she was really upset or found. Or, oh, I'm just hurt about this. It's a campaign to get to let these African Americans know you ain't worth nothing. We ain't giving you nothing. You think you're going to get something from Trump? Nobody cares about you. They give anybody. And then she turned around and said the real dumb thing.
Oh, it's because color of my skin, I can't get. Honey, the Mexicans darker than you. So what? It's not them Indian, them East Asians, them Southeast Asians darker than you. The Africans sure darker than you. It ain't a skin color thing. They all getting the ticket to ride. They all getting privileges, benefits, money, loans. So it's not a color. So why would, after all this, she's still talking about color? She's dumb as I don't know. Is it real? The script was bad. If it was a bad script, it's dumb. Because how you not gonna know? It ain't your color, boo boo. When are we gonna figure that out? It ain't your color? Because there's a whole lot of colored people coming up in here, getting a whole lot, stepping all over you like you're a rug. And we're not getting it? I don't understand. And then it's for I know. You know, what is this? What happened where everybody knows? I know. I got this. What is that? What is that? Where did that come from? What was it that programmed people into believing or thinking this way?
That you can't tell you nothing. You can't tell me nothing.
Where does that come from? To me, it's some kind of spirit. It's like a spirit of arrogance that's like, and just ego driven. And it's just all consuming and it is rotting the brains of society.
So were you like that with your grandparents and parents when you were coming up? You know, if they told you something, would you jump off with that attitude like, I got this, I know what I'm doing?
Well, I mean, I sat at the knees. I literally was like, anything that came out of my grandparents' mouth, I was like sitting at, or nearly sitting at the temple. You know what I mean? Seriously. And my mother and father, they were to me amazing. And I did not, even though I did not listen to everything they said, I respected everything. And it wasn't a matter of I would thank anybody that came in my family, uncles, aunts, that they had something to say. I was a vessel to receive it. You know what I mean? I don't understand this thing where you feel like somebody who has lived. Boo boo. It's like there's a whole attitude that your life and what you've gone through is not what books are made of, right? Books are made of the life that people live, and a lot of us don't write the books about the life that we live. You know what I mean? A lot of Indians just don't record it. But if we did, it would feel like everything. And the reality is the wisdom that comes from a life that is well lived, that is lived fully, that is lived with a lot of heartbreak, ups and downs, tragedies, triumphs, failures. You have a lot to give to people. You have a lot to teach people. And it's like a kid, and as a kid, and when we were little, we had bigger families and stuff. We watched the older ones get their ass kicked, right? You learn. Oh shit. What? Oh no. Excuse me. Uh yeah, Gene. Oh, he got his block knocked off. I ain't doing what he did. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, what? Oh, Sharon. Oh, that's not the way to go. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So when you went back in the day, when we had and this is the thing, a lot of these people aren't experiencing even that. Large families, lots of cousins, all these things where you're watching people constantly and you're gaining from their experience. Right now, we're watching strangers who are putting on fake shows, right? Putting on fake, fake scenarios. So, what do you gain from an artificial reality? Right? Where you really don't even know if any of that, and most of it's not true. But I got this because I'm watching some artificial AI and I'm watching these people tell their stories. People believe that all these people on the internet are telling the truth, that they're really going on these adventures. and that they're really doing it all on their own, and they don't have a crew and people and backup and all. People believe it. They don't believe anything is propaganda. They don't understand that nearly everything is propaganda. But then the people that got your wisdom, that lived it, you don't know what people been through. It was a whole different world 20, 40 years ago that you weren't there to live. But yet you think by Googling it, you got everything that we went through? Oh,
So do you see a change ever coming, or if not, what should the people who do see a change coming, what should be their next move?
Well, I think that, like I think it comes with having little sit downs with the youngins, like the real little ones, right? Like just like conveying this to the 8 year olds or the 10 year olds. You know what I mean? Where you could have a conversation with them, right? And be
Right.
like, this is how it was when I was little, right? And this is what I gained from it. This is what you are missing. Because these kids have a very high intellect, right? They got a very high intellect, very high take up. They take it up. They take it up. So if you speak to them like the little adults they believe they are, you know what I mean? A 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, a nine, beyond that, it gets like they get gone, right? They're beyond 12, they're gone, right? Yeah, you ain't probably gonna get that much penetration. But before they're 12, trying to have that conversation where you establish a sense of maybe you should appreciate these lessons and you could benefit, give them that wisdom, or at least teach them that there's a benefit of this, that they could live a better life by learning from the lives of others that are near and dear to them.
So with everything that's going on now, everything that's going on in the world now, what is it looking like on your end, in your environment, with the people, with your people, the people from the same clans and families and everything that, that we identify with? What is it looking like on their end?
All over the country, I'm seeing the same thing, whether I was here or going to Canada or wherever, going further south down to Louisiana, or going or here or in Georgia or in Virginia. I'm seeing the same thing around all around New Jersey, that we have people that are catching hell. There are certain see there are pockets in everyone's family where people are catching hell, right? Catching pure hell, right? The struggle's
Right.
real. It's about to get worse. A lot of these places are gonna remove all benefits from their lives, right? They already have sucked up all the resources that belong to us and given them to strangers. They already got they always got the daggone, the police out there trying to jail us, take our money, mostly take our money, mostly take us. We are a living resource for this planet. We are a living resource. We are the biggest natural resource this planet's got. You feel me?
One more
So
time. Say that one more time.
we are the biggest natural resource in this planet. We are it, not all of the people, us, particularly the American Indian. We're the biggest. The entire planet eats off of our work, sweat, blood, tears, resources, and our daggone intellect, creativity. I mean, you name it. Our tragedy makes people money. More money is made of our tragedy than you can imagine. You go to courtroom and you watch how people are doing things, and if you are an immigrant, you come in here. They got an interpreter sitting there waiting for the daggone the Mexican illegals. They don't require them to do they don't look into ain't no ICE, ain't nobody looking into what they are, how they here. They got an interpreter waiting for them, right? They're paying for an interpreter for this because God forbid they don't have an interpreter. And then when the judge talks to him, oh, Pedro, and I'm being mean. I'm sorry, I'm being mean. But it's true. I'm not being mean. I wish I wasn't being mean. I wish I was not even telling y'all the truth. But the judge sits there saying, Pedro, you don't have a license? Oh, do you think you can get one in two months? How about 3? Meanwhile, the brother got a friggin' daggone pile of paperwork about him trying to drive, right? He done got a his speedometer fixed for $599 with receipts. He done taken a class, a driving education class. He done this. He done gotten his driver's license rescheduled for this. And he still didn't come out winning out of that shit. You see, do you understand? The
Resource.
money. Everybody's eating. Okay. The local let me stop. The local mechanic is making money off of him. The parts people are making money off of him. Right? The daggone judge, the judge, the courtroom was making money off of him. The people that's teaching the class, which ain't us, is making money off of him.
John Block.
Baby, you are the plantation. You are the plantation. They farming your ass.
Mr. Blocker, is that about right? Infused Virgo, do you concur with that?
I completely agree with everything that Lisa has said. Because in the courtroom, it's bank. I mean, and you're what they're financing. Your birth certificate is financed. Your marriage license, your fishing license, your driver's license, everything is financed, and you're the financee. And they make money off of you no matter which way you turn. I completely agree with that. We are the resource.
Jay Smith. So what about that, man? With all this going on, when you have this generation of people who obviously aren't paying to the things that are going on in real life, they're just paying attention to all this artificial intelligence that's going around. What's in store for them? What does it look down the road for them?
I hate to say this, but one person said this, and he said it for a reason. Basically said, in the wild, the prey that's not alert gets taken first. So you're not aware of what's going down and what's about to go down, and you don't care, because when you look at the general population, the attitudes, they really they're more about the distractions. They're about that entertainment. They're not interested in, learning anything of significance, learning the truth, knowing why things work the way they do. And some are actually active partakers. You know about those gatekeepers. They're part of the actual distraction to begin with. Look what they pulled in 2020. They had people on their knees lining up to take what your buddy in LA refers to, and he refers to it appropriately, to take that demon semen by way of the hypodermic needle. Now they're already at the point where they know they got these people. Some of them are actually in the ground because of it, and others are pending. They, even the way they came at them. At first, it was like an insult on intelligence. You'll get a lap dance. You'll get a burger if you take it. Then I guess maybe enough people didn't take it. Then they started coming out in their true form. Well, now you're going to lose your job if you don't take this stuff. So their true colors came out, and still people took it. People still fell for it, But I'm going to say this, Carrie. There's a dumbing down that's in place right now. And I don't know if anyone has heard this, but Lisa, maybe you heard this. I heard that they're scrubbing medical journals as we speak right now. So you know what that means.
We went
Well,
through that today. We went through that looking for some information today on an old book, and it's scrubbed.
yeah, they've been working on that. That's what they did pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, they started to remove all the experienced nurses and doctors out of the hospitals. They were just removing us, and it didn't matter. It wasn't a color thing. Because when I saw those daggone, very, I mean, expert nurses and doctors, expert, which you would be like, oh God, I want my loved one taken care by them. They were removed. They and in a worse way. They just lied about them, pushed them out. Made them feel like crap. I mean, it didn't matter. It didn't matter how good these people were, and these people were really great, really great. All different people. Mostly, like I said, us, the indigenous people and these invaders that have been here. You know the whites that have been here, the YT. So but they pushed them out, and we were, and these were like respectable, intelligent, and in advance of it, at certain hospitals they had already instituted these cameras that can zoom into like a little pimple on the patient, and it had like a doc in a box system. And guess who made that system? Yeah, Johnson and Johnson made that system because they knew that they didn't want these intelligent, educated, and also the way, we've talked about this before, but I could do that another time. This is kind of veering from the subject, but they used to teach nurses to be the advocate for the patient, to be the expert advocate, to fight the doctors if necessary, stand up for your patient and your patient's safety and their rights. Now they don't teach that. They teach you that if you are saying something in contradiction to the doctor, you're practicing medicine without a license, and they scare the new nurses. They don't question anything. They just do. They're just do bots doing what they're told. So you aren't
Infused,
safe.
infused Virgo, you said on the black market, um, uh, African American black body parts go for double what they normally would go for. Could you explain that?
Basically, from what I've learned is that our body parts are in higher demand because of the ability for them to um help the person who needs them more. So our body parts go for more. And I mean, in fact, nobody really talks about it, but we can go back to Trayvon Martin. When they found that young man, he was missing his lungs, his heart, and other body parts. And there was a theory that Dick Cheney had got his heart, and that was due to the fact of his father being in that Masonic stuff, and so he was trying to get to the 33rd degree, and to do that he had to make a sacrifice, and they chose to sacrifice Trayvon. And at that same time, Dick Cheney needed a heart, and he ended up supposedly with the heart of Trayvon Martin. So our body parts are valuable because of the fact is that we have an innate ability to heal ourselves from within if we follow our diet that we're supposed to follow. We don't fall prey to a lot of the diabetes and so forth. And so I'm not a medical professional, so I don't want to step on anybody's toes. But I know that if we were to eat our correct diet, we wouldn't have a lot of the ailments that we have.
Exactly.
So,
Mr. Blocker, what you were saying?
She's absolutely right. Your diet, they understand that your diet is the most critical part of your survival. If you ate foods indigenous to you, sushi is not indigenous to you. Buffalo is indigenous to you.
But I don't like buffalo.
I want me some cow. Cow is not indigenous to you. But I want me some pig. Domestic pig is not indigenous to you, but wild boar is. And wild boar is not subject to any disease known to man. While you guys buying food, you need to order your food, order your indigenous food. Stop eating out the can. What I mean by that, stop eating out of these stores. How many of you out there truly can hunt your own food? I'm not talking about go to the store and get it or to the mall. Who can actually go in the woods and hunt their own food? Everybody quiet.
Oh, I know to hunt.
You need to know how to do your own thing. You need to know how to hunt your own food. Stop selling your land and work your land, because your land is going to be your refuge. You guys have patents to your land. Stop trying to find out where your patents are, and so you can go and sell the land for profit. You better hold on to your land. Because understand something, land is the most valuable asset that you have. And on that land, there's wooded area, and Mother Nature has provided you all the indigenous foods that we are supposed to eat. But I want me a T-bone steak. That old tough meat. Greasy meat. Keep eating that greasy meat.
But John, how isn't that information like that, that's vital. How isn't this not a major thing amongst us as much as we eat?
Because your oppressor realized that when they first came here, that we were unstoppable. We had tribesmen that would run at a full gallop for 24, 36, 48, 72 hours straight without stopping. We were unstoppable because of our diets. Every time you run to a dentist, you should think back to your ancestors. They never went to dentists because of their diet. Their teeth grew back on their own. Self-identification is the best identification you can have. You're indigenous here for a reason. You're not here to be a vegan. Because if you being a vegan was necessary, then you wouldn't have canines or molars. Meats give you certain abilities to your body through the acids that it pertains. Buffalo helps build muscle, brain matter. It's the smartest animal on the planet. Adverse to cow, dumbest animal on the planet. These meats are indigenous to you. You can order these meats online. But we don't like buffalo. We don't like wild boar. We don't like deer meat. We don't like rabbit. We don't like coon. We don't like fish. We don't like anything that's indigenous to us. We want sushi. We want Thai food. We want all the stuff that's harmful to you. Eat the foods of your land, and other people coming here won't be able to get rich off of you. But we have this fascination with the word new. We like big mouth bass. New is like something. A different race come here, our men and women flock to them like buzzards. Stop polluting your gene pools, people. Stop weakening your genes pools with these outside influences. While you getting this, they're getting you. And that which is yours now becomes theirs. So who's getting stuck? You can't get even with a people by doing the same thing those people are doing. You want to get even? Separate yourself from that people and build your own thing. You have the resources, you have the knowledge, but you have no backbone. Men, take off the dresses. Women, put down the pants. Guys, everybody has a place in this world, on this land. Women can't be men, and men can't be women. The sooner we realize this, because trying to be those things, we're not productive. We're being counterproductive. And all the while, others are gaining on you. While you're trying to be counterproductive, doing your thing that someone gave you to do. Think about it.
Infused Virgo, you were talking about plant life. How do we integrate plant life into what John has just said?
Well, there's a lot of plants out there that were used by the different clans and tribes for healing certain ailments. There were plants that help with viruses. There were plants that they use to help with pain. If they knew about like an elevation of like your blood pressure, there are plants for that. So if you know the plant life and you study that type of horticulture, you can find plants that will help with the ailments that everybody's on these crazy medications for. I mean, like I can't think of the name of there's a blue flower. I live up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. There's a blue flower. It looks like a daisy that's growing all over the place. And so one day I was walking and I happened to look it up to see what it was. Then I looked up the health benefits, and it's a viral block. It basically helps with whooping cough and anything that would affect your lungs. And so I started picking it and started drying it and saving it to make teas and things from it. But if you learn the plant life, you're going to find your medicinal purposes for it. And that would be beneficial considering the fact that these pharmaceuticals are doing nothing but killing you.
Sifar and Akamak. John just talked about, mixing with other people, taking in other people's cultures and food. What do you think about that, mixing with other people and other ideologies and other ways of life?
I think that they don't. For me, my personal experience being an Accomack female in general, American Indian, I don't know how people do it. Honestly, for my personal experience, literally, it don't matter what color man that is an American Indian, they act like bitches to me. I have coworkers that are of all different demographics. And for some time, I was working with white men. And my old job, I worked with white men. And when you work with them, you realize you would never want to date them. A lot of them have weird ideas about women. A lot of them hate their wives. A lot of them don't know how to communicate, or they can. Some of them are good at it, but because they're sociopaths, some of them are okay, but they don't really know how to manage dealing with the niggers in a specific industry that they're not used to. They're not good with a woman having a sense of identity or self, or think they are somebody in any way. It threatens them. When I go to QT in Howell Mill area in the morning, there's a bunch of conquistador descended Moors, the Hispanic motherfuckers, and they act like they run shit, and I have the urge to scalp them. So the idea of working or the idea of dating and having a child with any of them, the more I'm exposed to them, the more I'm disgusted. At my old job, I had a horrible review by a fucking Mexican. And this particular hoe ass Mexican, I did the most work, hardest work I could imagine. And they gave me the shittiest score ever. So, off of that, power of that, I would never consider it. I don't care how fine they are or how nigger presenting they are or whatever the case may be. It will never be an idea in my mind. I'm too much exposed to how much the men of those particular bloodlines don't fucking like people like me.
And
So for my,
when you say people like you, what do you mean?
I mean, so-called Black American, so American Indian, Eastern Woodland person, a person that is in a specific industry that is not really male dominated. Um, so for me, it's all people act weird around me in general because of the trade I'm in. So I'm not gonna put it out there because I need to. I'll graduate and I'll let you know. But I'm not gonna put out where I work or whatever. Fuck that. But that industry is probably the sassiest trade ever, and I will never be that sassy in terms of how the men are in that particular trade. So when you see how they really act, it's like it's a no go off top. And my thing is, I don't see how the men fall for it because they've been leveraging you forever. Like, my thing is, when a person of another race dates another person from another race, the intent is, I'm going to replace the negress you're supposed to be with. I'm going to replace that weird white chick you're supposed to be with. Essentially, you're a fan club. You're a member of their fan club. You're never gonna be like them. You're just a member of their fan club, period. But the problem is with our particular culture, the entire world consumes and assimilates. Why is it that gay men, no matter what color they are, all sound like some random black lady? What the fuck is that about? Just certain things. And we also got to keep in mind that even though they're appropriating, they're culture vulturing, but they are socially cannibalizing the American Indian at a higher rate than I've seen in a while. I feel like this is the highest rate of of culture vulturism I've seen in a long time. It's always been there, but it's like an ongoing onslaught. You know, it's just slowly, it just continues to go. But I also feel like if you are a person who's dating outside of your race, maybe that nigga who's dating that white chick is, maybe they're both European, maybe he's straight European, he's just doing what his folks used to do, you know. So maybe there's that part of it. There's a lot of darker Europeans in this country that pretend to be one of us. I've worked with several. I met a person in my industry who was like a regular nigga. He had all straight European last names and his family. But the weird thing that stuck out to me is that he was deadly allergic to fucking chocolate. Chocolate's American. He was allergic to something that's straight American. So he was obviously of a European stock, but he was dark. His hair was nappy, but his bloodline was straight European.
How often do you think we fall for that trick?
Way too much. Way too much.
So this whole color thing, this whole colorism thing that's going on with everybody saying just fuck Kamala because she black. That's a lot. That's a lot of people's thinking.
Kamala isn't even black. Her ancestor that they're calling is black. is actually an indentured Hindustan person that they're saying is black. And the dumb thing that I hate that a lot of these Caribbean folk do, there's a lot of them that do good work, but these Caribbean folk with this fucking Marcus Garvey, let go of that raggedy ass agent. Let go of him because y'all are bleeding it into y'all's whole country and ideology. And the problem with a lot of Caribbean culture is that if you weren't born and raised on the island, even though you have maybe Jamaican ancestry or some bloodline to the island, they don't consider you Jamaican. They're gonna consider the Chinese person whose kid grew up, was born and raised there, more Jamaican than your uncle or granddad or whoever you're related to that's Jamaican that you descend from. Or if your dad's Jamaican but you grew up in New York, that Chinese or Hindustan motherfucker that was raised in Jamaica is more Jamaican than you. That to me was a very dire mistake because Kamala is leveraging that shit to the hilt. Going to a fucking HBCU, a fucking, which is really um an Indian school, pretty much. Most of them are. Um, then doing that shit, she did, all this pandering. The pandering with this whole thing is disgusting. I don't like it. I think it's gross. I don't really care for either candidate either way. They get on my fucking nerves, so I'm not doing shit. This shit can burn, fall off for all I care. But the way that she's leveraging this fake "I'm a black chick" thing, I'm not gonna hold you. Obama did the same shit. Obama's one parent is Kenyan, the other parent European. He's Doja Cat before it was Doja Cat, because Doja Cat's mom is a European white woman. Her dad was South African. So they're the same people. They're cosplaying as a so-called black American when they are not. And Doja Cat, just stop saying nigga, because girl, you don't date niggas. You date white boys. Stop saying that shit for one, because nigga means American Indian. You're not American Indian. You're just a fucking African with a European mama. You're just a weird alternative version of a fucking black European, essentially.
So see,
Or
firing
fucking
Akamak.
Drake.
So see, firing Akamak, you're a young lady. How is it that people that would be considered your mother's age, your aunt's age, do you see where there's the disconnect where they're rooting for this chick from another country? Where does that disconnect lie? Not just with the women, with the men also.
I think, well, you gotta keep in mind, Kamala is in their demographic, I believe. Or maybe she's a little bit younger, but she's within that. Either she's like late Gen X, possibly, but some people just don't think. They don't research. They've been trained to consume. But it's weird because if you consider their generation, they had to do research. Either you're gonna go to the library, you're gonna look at some go to, I forgot what they're called, where you look through it like it's not a slideshow, but it's like different little slides to look through stuff. They're gonna do certain stuff to find things out. And if they didn't, they just wouldn't know until something came up. So even with the whole thing of meeting people in person, you had to call them on the phone, you meet at this time, you meet at that time. So a lot of it was on the will of trust or whatever. But now it's not even a matter of trust or research. Most people just don't want to fucking think. And the whole thing of I don't want to fucking think has gone through not just them, but way past their generation, past mine to Gen Z. So to me, over time, from when they were doing research and using encyclopedias and typing and shit, from now, our society has been taught to not think. They wanted more workers, they wanted more Slavs, they're gonna get it. But it took that much time to get it to where it is now. It may be that her generation was the start of rolling out don't think or certain type of propaganda, but at a point they were encouraged to think and to think critically. Now it's not really a thing. Like when I was in school, we were taught to think critically. Now motherfuckers barely want to even consider shit being fake. So there, I feel like the way it connects is what things were done when they were younger, like Operation Paperclip in the 70s and things of that nature, MK Ultra in the 60s, and other different projects that progressed when they were coming up, and how things like Silent Weapons for Silent Wars came up until we're gonna make a positive thing that her generation likes to do become let's pew 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 each other. Everybody's a thought, everybody's a whatever, nobody cares. And they're taking a song, a culture that was b-boying and emceeing and music and all that, to pew pew degradation and mindlessness. But it took several things over that time, because if you think about my cousin Thomas, he lived in the Bronx at a certain point, and when he was younger, he saw a crate of pews, what I'm saying, in the hood. It's just there, you know. If you go a few years backwards, my parents would go to New York, even though it was considered very fucking sketch at that time in New York. You know what I'm saying? They would go party in club and see a whole bunch of classic hip hop acts at that time. So at that time period, he saw the pews, they were partying, whatever. They had Operation Paperclip, other projects, crack, several things happened. Heroin, 70s, several things were ongoing. You go to the 60s where Black Americans had prestige and degrees and whole ass families, to 86 where they were like, I don't need no man. And how welfare was like, you can't have a man, you ain't getting no money. So there were several things, and we've been at war this whole time. It's just at this point, everything's coming to a head all at once, and and everyone can feel it. Not just my generation, not just my mom's generation, the ones even after me and in between. Everybody's feeling the repercussions right now.
Infused Virgo, you talked about a Shistika folk. Could you explain what that means?
Asiatisca folk. That is the basic ethnic group of the European, Siberian, African, Indo-Asian, Middle Eastern. That's how they're classified. I believe I sent you a picture a while ago of the whole spectrum of what was considered Asiatisca folk. They so Kamala, being from Hindustan, would fall under being an Asiatisca person.
And so how do we get it where they're like us? We're clamoring and saying these people are us, because the lady on the video that I showed earlier, she was begging that lady to come help her. What does that mean, and what does that implant into other people's minds?
I'm gonna say ignorance. I mean, it really starts off with ignorance and not wanting to accept who you are, and also allowing other people to tell you who you are. We've been allowing people to change our ethnicity since the 1700s, when we were American Indian, then we went to colored, then we went to Black, and then we went to African American, and who knows what we're going to be next. I mean, and we don't say anything. We just accept it. Suddenly we're that. It's like we're acquiescent to the fact that we've been changed from this to this to this to this to this to this to this. And we just go, oh, okay, no problem. And we just continue on with it. So I think, like, I feel like the rest of the world looks at us and laughs. I think they find that shit funny, because we're so quick to jump ship on who we are to become what they want us to be. and we don't stand up and say, no, that's not who we are. No, you're going to put us as to who we are. And then we have to go back. We have to go back, and now you got to go back and claim it and do all this stuff. I mean, we can walk around saying we're American Indian all day long, and people look at you like, no, you're not, you're African American. You're like, no, I'm not. And then, because I've gotten to this debate with people here, and they get, the Native Americans get upset when you claim who you are. And it's like we have no backbone. It's like we're cowards. We're afraid to speak up for ourselves as a collective. Individually and groups of us, yes, but as a collective, we really don't seem like we want to have any attachment to the land that we came from. We want to be worldly. We want to be of everywhere else but here, because it's like we're ashamed of it.
Lisa, we were looking at the book today, America by Aldonis Modanis. If you guys ever get a chance to pick up that book, it's almost scrubbed now. So if you can find it, good luck. They have a few copies of some of the images online. But Lisa, in that book that we were looking at today, I didn't see any Native Americans.
No, I don't know where the Native Americans were, but they went all the way down Peru and Central South America, all in Americas, New England, Virginia. Um, nope, Florida. Even up to they went. I think it even goes to Nova Scotia, as I recall. But nope, there was no images or information about that looked like anything but various dark shades of brown, copper colored American Indians. The Native Americans weren't on here.
Is that because they weren't here?
Well, I would say because they do the same thing all over the place. They try to say the Mexicans are mixed with Africans, therefore that's why there's dark skinned Mexicans. But in this in the book, it shows that everybody was dark complected here, you know, with various textures of hair, but mostly kinky curly, you know.
Right.
Locks and things like that were prevalent. Locks,
Right.
braids, but thick, coarse hair. Even in those early pictures, you could tell.
I have a question.
Yes.
Something that you first said, Cisco. Wouldn't the Native American fall under that category?
Yes, they would. They're Azatiska folk. They're from Siberia.
There was an individual, if he was comparable to Walter Plecker. I remember seeing it in A4 one time. His name was Cato Sells. Does that sound familiar?
No, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, his name was Cato Sells. Sales. He actually was instrumental in removing books that actually gave reference to the Native American being from the location we know as Asia. I think he worked in the same department as Walter Plecker, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, Kerry, how much time you got? There's a clip I want to play because I mentioned to you earlier not only about the dumbing down, but the actual uh, moving the elderly. You know, they've always killed the elderly when it comes to these resets. Do them, you know?
Right.
Well, anyway, after 2020, on the Dark Waters channel, I remember him talking about he was making these were members from the World Economic Forum. But I want to play a clip because he actually makes a point of what the individual was. He was doing a series on what he refers to as lizard people. He does paranormal and that kind of stuff. But I gotta play this clip. You gotta hear this, and just to you know land it in what I'm saying about the elderly. You know the disrespect for the elderly is really horrific in this society. Because they got a target right on their head, you know? Do we have time?
Yeah, share it.
Okay, but let me know if you hear it. I'll play a clip and then I'll stop it. I'm not sure where the microphone is on this thing anyway. But anyway, let me play it.
You know, the job market is stable. At the time of the election,
Barely hear it.
You barely hear it? Hold.
Barely hear it.
All right, give me a minute.
So if anybody likes to join a discussion or anybody has some ideas or some insight to what's being said tonight and could lend some credence to it, please join the discussion. I'm putting the link to the chat and I'm sending it now.
All right, I'm going to try one more time, all right? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Let me know if you hear it, okay?
culture, performing arts, everything changes right now.
You can hear it.
No choice.
Say again?
I can hear it.
Okay, now I'm going to play it. Listen to this.
Need to reimagine an old future, a new future, because we can't go back to the past. Impossible. Even before COVID, the vaccine won't help. Yes, to help us, of course, will make things more manageable, but it won't take the.
So basically, they broke the world, and they're telling you can't go back to what it was. They broke. Millions of people broke the whole economy, broke everything, and they give you a solution of what they broke. I'm going full Sam, and that's your thing. When I do go full Sam, I want to ask you ahead of time for forgiveness. Give it from my mouth. Get a little passionate when it comes to people blatant disrespecting everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's like standing on the corner, somebody's smoking a cigarette, talking to your friend, and the dude just walk up and step on your shoe and just keep walking. He don't say, excuse me, he don't say nothing. Man, you slapped the lips off that boy. And he just stepped on the whole world's shoes at one time.
We can't go back. We were already in the process of rapid change, fueled by new technologies. COVID just accelerated changes that we thought would take 10, 20 years, like moving a lot of courses in the university online, they happened within 2 to 3 weeks.
Because you broke it.
But they were already underway anyway. There's now no reason to live close to work or close to the academic center. Yeah. So, the city centers are losing their function right now. Yeah, everything is being digitalized. Everything is being monitored, and the elderly are isolated. You have not only the elderly, also the young.
Hold on. Mm-hmm. Ms. Wallace, go. Did you see the smile on this heifer face when she said the elderly are isolated? Let's go back. She said this. Watch this. This is why I said you got to be listening. That you got to see the smile on her face when she says the elderly are isolated. Who in the hell is excited about that? Watch the
process of rapid change, fueled by new technologies. COVID just accelerated it. Changes that we thought would take 10, 20 years.
You need to see this one.
Moving a lot of courses in the university online, they happened within 2 to 3 weeks or 2 to 3 months because of COVID. But they were already underway anyway. There's now no reason to live close to work or close to the academic center. Yeah. There's no the city centers are losing their function right now. Yeah, everything is being digitalized. Everything is being monitored, and the elderly are isolated.
You see that smile, that evil smile on her face? You see it? Let me just make it full screen. Look at that smile. Like she's like, the elderly are isolated. Like we achieved all our goals that we set forth. And to think about it, literally listing out the goals: A, B, C, D, E, F.
Mr. Blocker, so what do you think about that the elderly are being isolated. What do you think about that?
Well, he has a point, because your elderly contain all your history and your knowledge. So if you isolate them from the whole, you have what you have now, even dumber people. Our people
So,
have our people have no guidance as it is already. And you remove the elderly, your elders, which are the ones that are responsible for teaching the young. Then you have no guidance. Now you have babies raising babies. Basically what they want.
right,
We agree with it because what? Your neighbor can't chastise your child because if he put his hands on your child, you want to kill him.
right. We have a caller coming in. Elkerman, welcome to African Americans Ain't Africans.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh man, peace and blessings to you and everybody on the call.
Oh, peace and blessings to you also.
Yeah, just wanted to just touch on something real quick and fast. It's our people need to understand what's going on, you know, and they need to wake up very fast because where we're at, you know, they have invaded, you know, and if our people don't, you know, get rid of that black thing and come claim their American indigenous status, they're going to be wiped out fast, very fast. And we're just seeing it. And like I was telling you before, Carrie, in the town that we live at, you know, we're all related. But you can see right now with this immigration thing coming in, the way it's here already. Like, you know, we got to move fast. Our people, we got to come together quick because there's no more time left at all. No more time, you know. And it was something that I had heard, you know, maybe y'all can verify it, but this is the last year that they're giving our brothers and sisters an opportunity to proclaim their indigenous status. You know, from what I understand, after the end of this year, that's it. You know, because I think I can't remember what it was called, but it was like 10 years ago, I think the United Nations had opened the door up for us, you know, and I'm not talking about the United Nations that the United States created in New York. I'm talking about the ICCJ in Geneva, Netherlands, where that's why they said, if anybody, when y'all get a chance, look at what Joseph Biden said. He said, we don't recognize that court. That's the court that Benjamin Netanyahu has a warrant out for his arrest. That's the actual court. And that's where they sued the United States. I think it was China. Japan. I think when they dropped that bomb, Germany got their reparations. And I think, I'm not too sure, don't correct me if I'm wrong, because I believe that was the other United Nations dealing with the Jews. But time is running out, you know? And, you know, that's all I wanted to say, you know? You got to
Cool.
stick together.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, bro.
All right. So what the young man said, anybody can get with that? Can we give an amen to what the brother said? What he was talking about is reality.
Well, reality is we do need to claim our indigenous inheritance, but we won't do that because we're afraid of the repercussions. We've gotten solved, Carrie.
Yeah.
We don't have any backbone. All the warriors, there's only 5% of the warriors left. Everything else is wearing dresses.
Right. So how did brothers go to pushing these dresses so hard? How did this whole "I want to be a woman" thing? Where did that come from?
They saw it on TV.
So, John, let me ask. So these cats that want to be women, these women that want to be men, since they were all created by a male and a female, and they themselves taking themselves out of the equation. Man, you mean these cats can't see that?
Well, no, because understand, Carrie, it takes a pedophile to create both. And then those pedophiles create more pedophiles. And it becomes like the vampire effect. One vampire bites a victim, and then that victim takes on another victim.
Right.
A lot of people that are claiming to be gay that was forced on them as children, and then their childhood was stolen from them. So as they grew older, they just, again, we accept things. We accepted it and we kept living that lifestyle. And then we got enabled through manipulation and by putting certain people in positions to carry out those manipulations, gave them authority to be and acclaim and reinforce that particular confusion. Because it's confusing. There's only male and female. There is no alternate sex. Anyone tells you that there's something wrong with them. All you got to do is look in the mirror and see that in order to create, you need an opposite of the other to create something. Not the same of something. We are our own self-destruction. We allow everyone to define us but us. And we're comfortable with that.
So do you see the damage that it's causing? Do you see the damage that all this, and I call it all artificial intelligence, all this stuff that's been changing? Remember, y'all homegirl, I mean, it was going on a lot before this time, but about 40 years ago, your homegirl Oprah Winfrey was pushing this stuff, talking about down low men, had a huge audience. Most of the women who are in their 60s now were Oprah fanatics. So all this thinking, all this way of thinking, and I can believe this, I can do what I want to do, is pushed through the culture from the people that most of you guys worship. That's what the brother was saying earlier about the television. The television is just here to baffle your mind, to entertain you. So we're going to go ahead and come to the wrap up now. But before we close out, I want to get the thoughts of everybody on the panel, and ask the question, where do we go from here? And I'll start with you, Infused Virgo. Where do we go from here? Or what steps should we take so this onslaught won't do what it's supposed to do?
We need to stop being so against each other and really start listening to each other, because each one of us on this panel, for example, has knowledge. We have knowledge in different areas that can benefit growth for the future. And we need to embrace that and start applying it and teaching the children and those who want to learn, because there's no point in trying to save everybody. It's a done deal. It's no reason to. But for those of us who are like-minded, we need to come up with things and work together, put all petty bullshit to the side, and really start developing some plans of action to protect people that are like us and our children and our grandchildren.
And thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Really appreciate it.
I love being on here, so thank you.
Sifari Akamat, your thoughts. Faring Akamat,
Yeah.
your thoughts on the subject?
On the subject, I mean,
What do we have to do, or what should be done right now going forward, compared with everything that's right in our sights, what we see, what's
yeah,
attacking us?
I think what's been going on, like if you just look at the scope of the internet Indianism bull BS, is that a lot of people that have been doing these shows or panels or whatever, is so many, whether it's on YouTube, TikTok, or other platforms, even Clubhouse, or fan base, but all they've been doing is just talking, and they hit a wall. And it's like, if y'all would just stop worrying about clout and just let go of the ego, there could have been so much already done. There was a point on Clubhouse where they were supposed to do some thing to help other people that were stuck as American Indians secure themselves, whatever. But because there were so many egos, and even where I deal with stuff, like there's so many, it's like the ego stuff is like really messing up so many situations that could have been already. Who knew this stuff maybe 3 or more years in advance? Some people even farther than that. But since they maybe had met in some form or fashion, the ego should just push everybody away. And it's like, if I could imagine every one of those people that were from these different platforms coming together and securing stuff the right way at the time that they all could have met, like all could have met each other or whatever, maybe even a year or whatever, things would be so much different. But that takes so many people, and even with generational wise, community wise, it's not really helping us. And if we could get past that, more things can get done. Even with our situation, like even with certain stuff that happened with us, and what, not with us, but like just certain things that have happened recently, where people's egos just get in their way. They just get in their way, and it doesn't benefit them. It's like
Right.
a common theme. So just understand, you could get ahead further if you didn't use your ego to hold you back, and that goes across the board.
Ego. Jay Smith, your thoughts on where we should be going at this point?
Well, you're gonna have to keep your composure and batten down the hatches. But in terms of what was already said about like-minded ones, don't be trying to save everybody, because see, the way it stands right now, um, I use as an example pulling somebody out of that water while they're fighting you all the way up. You put that person into your boat, they eventually throw you overboard. You leave them there, because people can't. If they're not willing, they're not willing. You can't change them. You know, if they're fully vested in their ego, like the infused Virgo was talking about, leave them there. What else can you do? The old saying, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So just know who it is, who you're dealing with, and go there.
Thank you for that, Jay Smith. Mr. Blocker, what road or what direction should we be taking with all this stuff that's being shown now, and what you see with all the Indians going on here in America? What should be the path that those people should take? I guess Mr. Blocker got caught up. So, Lisa, same question to you. And you're fighting it every day.
I'm back.
Okay. Did you hear the question?
No, what was it?
The question is, in what direction should people who recognize in the writing on the wall, what direction or how should we be looking at this?
Well, we should all be putting our heads together to try to find a solution to this situation, because we can't do anything individually, but as a collective, we can be unstoppable. Everyone knows that but us. That's why we fight so hard to keep from being united, because we're afraid to realize that together we're stronger. And for those of us that want to work towards that, Carrie has my information. I'm open for any suggestions or anything positive that you guys got that you want to try to put together. I'm down for it.
Me too.
John, thank you for that. Lisa Cypress, your views on the future.
Okay. Oh, well, my whole view is like, save who you can, but save yourself first. It's like you're in a plane crash, right? You got to put on the oxygen on yourself first, right? Because if you ain't alive, you can't help nobody else survive. So you got to save yourself, get yourself straightened out. Go to the Social Security online and change your identity tonight to from African American to American Indian. Point blank, period. First step. Like, what we playing for? Go and change your SF 181 to American Indian. Stat. What I feel like is people need to be repatriating. That's what I feel like, because when you claim your true bloodline, territory, wherever and I don't care. Like, people are like, I'm a lot of things. So why is that stopping you? Why can't you be Catawba, this and that Creek? But I don't that is who you are. Claim it. I don't understand. Okay? Especially your mama's side anyway. But basically, the thing about it, I don't want to get into it, it's too much. But the reason it's the most powerful thing is because it puts you in your rights, because you're not faking it. You're not in one of these social groups that are like, yeah, we're Indian and we're together and we're gonna go buy some land. You're not doing that. You're doing what empowers you, and not only empowers you, but it impacts you, but not only you, but your kinfolk for, like I say, 70 generations, by doing it that way, by repatriating. Because what you're doing is you're reestablishing your rights, your lineage, your identity, and most importantly, your connection to your land. In your land. Because real Indians have land. Real Indians have territory. It's either it's gonna be within your name, or someone else in your nation's name, your kinfolk's name rather, and their genealogy through their surnames, or the actual nation itself is gonna have patented land. But you can't attach your, see, this is what it is. You even like, okay, let's say you go out and you buy some land and that's on my territory. It's gonna be you might not be happy with the outcome, because when you move and you're reclaiming your land, some people gonna have to move away. So to actually establish it the right way, with the foundation where you're in the right place with the right people and the right genealogy, is a powerful thing, because it's unshakable. Like, you stand up to scrutiny. You can stand up to whatever, and you can assert yourself in a certain way, which gets you thrown in jail. You know what I mean? And not to be, I mean, it's a serious thing, but it's not serious, because its charges are so bogus that's how desperate they are. That is how desperate they are to stop what we are doing. That they would do something really fraudulent that is purely malicious prosecution. And they're creating all kinds of paper trails of it because that's how desperate they are. And but more importantly, what I want people to know is that's how strong our rights are when we do it that way. That you get people so freaking backed up. Corporations, BlackRock, what is it? Good. These corporations that are behind what is happening to me, right? These corporations, BlackRock, the Greater Good Company, Preserve Communities, Bay Creek, Catamount Properties, these corporations that are about stealing indigenous land always.
You left out the railroad.
Well, they pulled up the railroad tracks in Northampton, and they took that money. How many they got? Like three. They got some kind of millions of dollars for the daggone rusty iron.
For the ribbon rail.
Yeah, yeah. They sold everything. They sold the ties and they sold the iron. But yeah, and it's crazy because folks love an old railroad. They love that. But that's how greedy they are. They'll siphon anything. They'll siphon anything, and they'll take it. And then if you try to say, well, wait a minute, how dare you? You want something for nothing. I want something for nothing. That's what they say. That's what they say. Well, my people, y'all don't understand that most of us don't even know what it is, what the struggle is in some of these little communities that don't have resources, where they got to work around these people with bad attitudes and very racist all over the country, all over the world. And they have to subject themselves to living in places that you don't really know, because like there were people that come to the summit. You didn't know that they was living without electricity. You didn't know that they didn't have no running water. You didn't know these people got a whole daggone side of their houses full of water and mold. You don't know. People present themselves well. We present ourselves well. You don't know what our folks are going through. I do know what they're going through. They may not see me at their door walking around because I'm trying to fight for my life right now. And they don't know that I actually am in tune with everything that my folks are going through out there. And that is why I fight so hard. We have to do something to save ourselves but more important, save the people that can't not save themselves. And also to be able to do what your ancestors did. They laid it out for you. What, 20 some generations down the road, they laid this out for us. And yet we got it easier than they ever had it. And we don't want to take our butts up and actually fight for what they laid out for us. They got the bag right there. It's right there. You know who's getting it? All these daggone immigrants. They claiming to be you and taking your damn ancestral land as well. I've seen Africans walking through the graveyard on the Eastern Shore. And I asked them, I said, what are you doing here? Right? You walking through my family's burial grounds. Oh, I have a friend that, they come out with a long story. I went to school with someone from here, and I knew his family. Yeah, no, that ain't what it is. You looking for names. You looking for names to claim. You see, and guess what? When they go to the courthouse to get what you got, they are not going to get thrown in jail. And they're going to process that damn paperwork. And they're going to get your ancestral land, and you ain't going to know nothing the wiser. Because we're not watching. I got to stop. But anyway, that's what I feel we should do.
Right. So you hear what she's saying. These people are coming over here going through your cemetery. How many of us even go and check them out? How many of us even go to where our great grandmothers are buried? So, I just wanted to gather the voices you heard tonight to give you all some inkling on what's going on and what people see from different lenses. hopefully they can share all this with you guys. And hopefully you guys get it. Because it ain't no joke, y'all. And you can't go around saying you know everything, you got this, you can't tell me shit. Because, yeah, a lot needs to get told. So thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.